Wiener, 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 next to another wiener, 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 two wieners alongside yet another wiener party, wiener party, 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 wiener wieners, nice and soft, non-erect wieners. Flopping wieners, flopping wieners.
Hello, we're here, we're live. Good evening, everybody. I hope you stayed safe during this troublesome period. Yesterday, we had a blackout last Wednesday, just after the stream. Hey, JB, good evening to you too. We also have Adri on YouTube watch party. No, not the watch party, but the premiere link. So I also invited him over on the stream so we can watch together. But if you find it cooler to watch the premiere on the YouTube video instead, that's fine by me. I'll be there to chat with you along the way. So welcome. Once again, this is Skylancer, and thank you for being here. We do have a premiere coming up in the next few minutes. Just wanted to wish you a good evening, a warm welcome, and I hope you stayed safe. Hope you are still safe, and this has been a troubling time in Metro Manila with not just the pandemic, but also the storm that hit us. It was quite devastating. So I do hope you guys are safe. There you go. Hey, Adri. Good evening to you too. We did have a watcher a while ago. Maybe he'll come back. I'm not quite sure who that was. But we're just waiting a couple of minutes because I did set the premiere at 7:15. Just so you know, just in case to just. If there's still more people coming in, the next 5 minutes or so, that should be good. So let's take this as a premiere, and you're going to be the first ones to watch this item fundamentals part 1. You can give me feedback along the way. We can interact. We can talk about pretty much what I'll do is just I'll watch the video with you. And if you have a couple of questions, if you want to just talk on chat or on the live stream, just let me know. I do have the live stream comments coming here, and I do have the premiere comments coming here on my other PC, so I should be able to see everything. But without further ado, I just want to welcome you. Oh, there's our other viewer. Thank you so much for being here. I was wishing everyone a warm welcome, and hope you stayed safe during the past day, last Wednesday night through Thursday afternoon, through Thursday evening. We had a lot of trouble with electricity, storm surge and whatnot. So yeah, I am going to play a couple of games. So we'll keep at it. We'll be let's be a little bit more, how do I say it, free flow. Let's keep it free flow for this evening. Let's watch the item fundamentals part 1 a couple of games later if you want to do some PvP. I've been really practicing some. I've been enjoying Jungler on Wild Rift. I've been loving Master Yi and Jin Xiao for their kit respectively. So I might do a couple more jungle practice over the past few weeks. Over the next few weeks rather, and I will also be doing an ADC. I'm loving Jink so far, just so that I can do a flex. I can be a very how do I say, effective flex player. I don't want an issue wherein I'm the last pick and I really don't know how to adjust. So, and I usually get last pick for some reason on draft. Third to last. I don't seldom get the first 2 picks, which is good because I'd like to be in the middle to the last, so that I'll also know what matchups I'm up against, and I can decide accordingly. The problem I have, and I guess you can, if you share the same sentiment with me, let me know. The problem I have with being first is that you're going there blind. You might pick a Blitzcrank, which is something you're really good at, but then the enemy might pick something like a very dashy champion like Vayne, Azrael, for an ADC, and then might counter pick you for a Braum or an Alistair, which is a nightmare of a matchup to with regards to Blitzcrank. But yeah, anyways, I'm just babbling. I just really want I just really want to be good at being a flex pick. So, you know, I'm climbing the rank a little bit slower than usual, but you know, slow grind is. I was away a while yesterday, so I had a couple of matches in. I was jumping between silver 1 and silver 2. I still haven't reached that gold mark, but I will make it a point to reach it this weekend. So that's what I'm gonna do, and then we'll see each other on gold rank, and then on my way climbing to platinum, and hopefully emerald is where I want to be, at least from a first week of December standpoint or last week of November standpoint. We'll see. No pressure. Doing a lot of content is what I need to be. I need to focus at just to grow this community. And thank you again for being here and when watching. So let's have 2 minutes since till the premiere. So let's try to change screens here, and let's do a little bit of editing magic. Premieres in 2 minutes. We're here. Let's see how this works. This is our first premiere together. Thank you so much for those who are here. I appreciate you. You guys are the early birds, and I love it. I love interacting with you. I love engaging with you. Hopefully, we can grow this community more. Again, just appreciate every like, comment, share that you give. And some of you have sent stars as well, so thank you so much. So you know, just the shares are just more than enough for me, because you know we want to grow this community of, you know, like-minded individuals who like gaming, who want to have a theoretical standpoint of where you are in Wild Rift knowledge, League of Legends knowledge, or MOBA knowledge in any sense. And you know, I just wanted to give that to you, viewers. So thank you. All right, 60 seconds. Should be less than 60 seconds now. Well, it is still 7:13 on my clock, so maybe YouTube is a little bit excited. Thank you, Audrey. Yeah. Just feel free to watch wherever you want. Feel free to chat on the Premiere chat box. I'm definitely gonna chat with you, and on the stream chat box, I have it here as well. So. I do have multi-stream enabled, so I can see comments or chats coming from Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So that's a good thing for us. The premiere will begin shortly. I'm gonna keep quiet when it begins, and let's enjoy. All right. Should be any second now. Should I maximize it? There's no option. That's weird. Maybe if when it starts. Let's do this. I hope it works. This is my first time premiering a video. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Thank you for liking the stream. Appreciate that. Oh, that's it. There's a 2-minute mic. Okay. I didn't know it had this. Awesome. You go, Audrey. Oops. I paused that for like a split second. I just hope it's okay. It is still live on my end, so. Oh, the thing is, if I maximize it, you might not see me. So what I'll do is, I'll try to make it as big as I can. Theater mode. I hope it works. Let's see if theater mode works. Because if I full screen it, I might be blocking my my video face, which is where I am at right now. Let's do this. Let's theater mode, and let's hope for the best. 20 seconds. Thank you once again, folks, for being here. This is it. Let me know your feedback after or during, and then we'll keep continuing if this is something that we want to do in this community. Hey there, folks. Skylancer here, and welcome to another round of Wild Rift Fundamentals. This specific topic has been requested a lot by this growing and wonderful community, and I'm finally here to give it to you. Due to the length of this topic, we will splice this content into 2 separate videos. This will also give you time to absorb and fully reflect on the key things that you'd like to focus on, and maybe later on get back to this video in case you'd like to learn something new or relearn something. In this 2-part series, we'll finally be talking about, you got that right, item fundamentals. Now, aside from your runes and summoner spells, your champion's item sets that you buy and equip throughout the entire match is also one huge element and factor that can make you effectively and efficiently win the game. And similar to runes, they should definitely be tied to your champion's identity. So I'm going to focus on the upgraded or the top tier items that you build into and discuss with you the uses, my feedback for each and every top tier item. So you won't be seeing me talk to you about low tier items like daggers, like long swords, like blasting wands and such. So just a quick caveat. Along the way, I'll be tackling on sample core item sets for some champions to showcase to you how their equipment would complement their overall champion identity. And what I'm really hoping for is for you to learn and apply what you've learned as you go along with your matches so that you can build an optimal item set for you and your chosen champion. There are essentially 4 categories that items can be identified as. You have the physical item, or items that majorly increase your AD or attack damage. You have the magic items, or items that majorly increase your ability power, or AP. You also have defense items, items that majorly increase your armor or magic resist. And you have boots, items that can actually improve your movement speed and can be flexible to fit within the physical, magical, or defense archetype. These boots can then be augmented into enchantments that would enable you to get an extra active ability that you can utilize during team fights. For the first part of this video series, we'll be talking to you about physical and defense items and how they bring value to champions and each and every role applicable. Let's talk about physical items, starting off with Bork, or Blade of the Ruined King. Plus 30 to attack damage, plus 30% attack speed. You gain Thirst, which is 10% physical vamp, which is basically lifesteal. You also gain Ruin Strikes. Attack deals bonus physical damage equal to 6% of enemy's current health. You get Drain. Hitting a champion with 3 attacks or abilities deals 30 to 100 magic damage and steals 25% of their move speed for 3 seconds. Now, Bork is a first core item requirement for one category.
I'm gonna try something.
And since we're talking about ADC
I can just control
I'll
Z it.
briefly tell you all about them. Now, in my opinion, they can be generalized into 3 categories: attack speed ADCs, critical ADCs, critical hit ADCs, mana intensive ADCs. Blade of the Ruined King is generally a requirement for attack speed ADCs. I'm talking about Ashe, Varus, Vayne, as they really get a lot of value from this as a first item. The passive of stealing movement speed from the enemies is
There
also
we go.
really good, especially when you're targeting the enemy ADC. Up next, we have Infinity Edge. Now, this is the core for the second category of ADCs, which I call the critical hit ADCs. Now, compared to Bork, or Blade of the Ruined King, this doesn't increase attack speed. So you'll have slower attacks essentially, but each hit has a really good potential for increased damage. This is good for Jinx, this is good for Jhin, and this is good for Misfortune as your first core item. So these are the critical hit ADCs that I'm talking about. This item, Infinity Edge, is also good for junglers like Graves, for instance, and Master Yi, but you build them around the 3rd or the 4th core item. Rounding up the last category of ADCs, we have the Manamune. Plus 25 to attack damage, plus 300 to max mana, plus 10% to cooldown reduction. Gives you Awe, which grants attack damage equal to 2% of max mana and refunds 15% of all mana spent. Now, you eventually charge this, and it eventually transforms into what we call the Mura mana. It gives 25 to attack damage, gives 1,000 to max mana. It also gives 10% cooldown reduction, and also gives you the same passive Awe. But what's a good thing about this is it also gives you Shock. Attacks against champions consume 3% of current mana to deal double damage that amount as bonus physical damage. Now, Manamune is the optimal first build for the 3rd category of ADCs, which are the mana-intensive ADCs. I'm talking about Kai'Sa, I'm talking about Ezreal. This is their trademark core item, and the bonus attack damage that you get from Awe, as well as the refund to your mana, and of course Shock when it eventually turns into Mura mana, makes this core item very phenomenal to these carries who rely intensively on mana. Now let's talk about Bloodthirster. 65 to attack damage. It gives you Bloody, which is 15% physical vamp, again lifesteal. It also gives you Bloodsworn, which means physical vamp overheals you, generating a shield that absorbs 40 to 320 damage, and this decays out of combat over 10 seconds. Bloodthirster is a very good sustain weapon. Good for ADCs like Ashe, like Jinx, like Misfortune. As maybe a 4th or a 5th core item to build into. This overheals you, making your squishy ADC a little bit sturdier by generating a shield. Now with a high attack speed, you gain Vamp a lot here. And so this really gives out good value for those ADCs I've mentioned. Up next for physical items, we have Static Shiv. You gain 25% critical rate, you gain 35% to attack speed. Now it also gives you Electric, which is a plus 5% movement speed, and you gain Energize. Moving and attacking generates energy stacks. Now at max stacks, your next attack deals 500 to 120 bonus damage and activates all energized effects. Now you also have Shiv Lightning, which actually gives you energized attacks, can bounce up to 5 nearby enemies, and each hit can crit. Static Shiv for me can be a good balance between Bork, Blade of the Ruined King, and Infinity Edge. But your champion needs to be mobile for you to get full value of your passive. As of this recording, we don't have champions like Shaco or Tristana yet that can fully utilize the potential that the passive gives out. Plus, having no attack damage bonus for this item is a sort of a downside for the current lineup or the current champions that we have in the patch. It can potentially be great in team fights as crits jump up to 5 champions potentially. It's also good for a potential wave clear too if you just really want to do a clear wave very fast. But most current champions available as of this recording would find another item a little better. Which actually leads us to the next item, Rapid Fire Cannon. It gives you plus 25% to critical rate, plus 35% to attack speed, very similar. Gives you Hunter Swiftness at 5% movement speed. It's also energized, and it does have what we call the Fire Cannon Barrel. Energy stacks charges 25% faster, and energized attacks have 150 bonus attack range. This only applies to range characters. If you equip this on a melee character, you only gain 50 range, unfortunately. So similar to Static Shiv in terms of the stats that it gives out, but has far more range due to the passive called Fire Cannon Barrel. So comparing both Static Shiv and Rapid Fire Cannon together, it's very good for long-ranged ADCs. ADCs like Jhin, for instance, Jinx can also equip this, and maybe potentially Draven in the future when he comes out. And I know that he's coming out soon, so it may be good for him once he's out in the future Champion Edition patch. Now let's talk about Runan's Hurricane. Gives you plus 25% to critical rate, plus 45% to attack speed. Passive it gives you is called Wind's Fury. Attack strike 2 additional nearby enemies, each dealing 40% of damage. These strikes can critically strike and trigger on-hit effects. Therefore, this is a must build for ADCs for its potential to do a fast wave clear. Get this as your 3rd or your 4th core item. Always a must for all ADCs. Maybe except for Jhin or Vayne and Miss Fortune and maybe Azrael, who can pick up other items that gain more value for their playstyle. But aside from all of those that I've mentioned so far in this current patch, Runan's Hurricane is always a must for ADCs. Now let's talk about Youmuu's Ghostblade. Gives you 50 to attack damage, plus 10% cooldown reduction. Gives you Slice, which is basically plus 10 to your armor penetration. Momentum, moving builds momentum, granting a max of 50 movement speed at 100 stacks. Attacks expend all momentum to deal bonus magic damage equal to the number of stacks. The momentum decays while the movement speed is impaired. It also gives you Spectral Haste. Attack. Youmuu's Ghostblade is definitely great for a jungler Graves to core into as your first item.
Hey Martin. Yep.
Mainly
Two
because
Joels.
you'll benefit from the attack speed buff as well as the cooldown reduction. So you can do your jungle pathing and jungle clear faster than not having Youmuu's Ghostblade. Otherwise, this is also a good pick for if you really want that extra armor penetration. If the enemy team composition has a lot of tanky frontliners, so this can also be situational. Youmuu's Ghostblade is definitely a great first item for the likes of a burst champion like Zed. Not only because you potentially get more burst with a cooldown reduction, but Youmuu's Ghostblade actually gives you a bonus to movement speed. So a Zed mid can actually join a river skirmish or join and help out in another lane and still get back to mid lane to regain some tempo. Now we have the Duskblade of Draktar. Gives you plus 50 to attack damage, plus 10% cooldown reduction. Gives you Razor, which is a plus 15 to armor penetration. And it gives you Night Stalker. Being unseen for 1 second causes your next attack against a champion to deal 20 to 125 bonus physical damage and slows them by 99% for 0.25 seconds. The buff lasts for 5 seconds and range attacks do not slow, unfortunately. Duskblade of Draktar is a situational item for those loving to set up in the bush area. From how the game is played, however, and is supposed to be played, team objectives definitely over, getting a bunch of kills or just getting a bunch of random kills in the jungles. I think that you won't be getting a lot out of value from this passive, unless you're a champion like Evelyn, for instance, because of her passive invisibility at level 5, by the way. But then again, there's a far more better core item to equip Evelyn with compared to the Duskblade of Draktar, in my opinion. So I guess if you just really want to be sneaky, and maybe you're a jungle invader that wants to disrupt opposing jungle matchups just to mess up their tempo, then maybe you'll want to equip this, but it's very, very situational. However, if we're talking about burst champions like Zed again, there's actually a great reason for you to pick Duskblade of Draktar after Yonu's Ghostblade. Mainly because the two of those core items on a Zed mid definitely gives you more burst than ever. So 80% of the time, maybe I would even say 90% of the time, the first core items for a mid lane Zed would be Yonu's Ghostblade and Duskblade of Draktar. That's a very good 1-2 core combo for Zed. Now we go to Mortal Reminder. Plus 45 to attack damage gives you Last Whisper, which is plus 35% armor penetration. It gives you Executioner's Calling. Physical damage applies Grievous Wounds to enemy champions for 5 seconds. And Grievous Wounds is basically a debuff that reduces the healing effect for enemy champions. Mortal Reminder is a good item to build if you see 2 to 3 champions that rely in heals for the team, or if you see 2 to 3 champions that are tanky frontliners. You won't be seeing this composition so much, or a lot in general, so I guess you won't also be seeing this item build a lot, but in any case, if in case you see these 2 to 3 tanky frontliners, or if you see a bunch of enemy with healing abilities, this item is best to counter that. We go onwards to what we call as the Black Cleaver, plus 350 to maximum health, plus 30 to attack damage, plus 20% to cooldown reduction. It gives you Sunder, dealing physical damage to a champion reduces their armor by 4% for 6 seconds, stacking 6 times for 24% total reduction. It gives you Rage, dealing physical damage grants 20 movement speed and kills. Hey JB, no worries. Thank you. Welcome for being here. Bonuses unfortunately do not stack. Come and join the premiere. And have the values. So Black Cleaver is mostly for melee champions, as you only get half value if you equip this for range. So forget it if you're ranged. This is a great core item to build first. If you're a bruiser type, or a Hey Cortex, jungler welcome
Oh,
to the stream. Olaf, Jarvan the Fourth, So that I can talk to you while we're and react accordingly. also benefit from It's an experiment, by the way.
Plus your buff to your max health and attack damage is actually pretty decent for a 3,000 gold top tier item.
I'm watching,
Lots of value.
reacting, and
So
looking
build
at
this
multiple
first
chats.
If you're a bruiser type, and build this somewhat, maybe second, third, fourth, depending on what you'd like to build up first for junglers like Olaf, Jarvan the Fourth, and Elise. Now let's talk about one of the most iconic items in League of Legends history, the Trinity Force. Look at the amount of value it gives out. Plus 200 to max health, plus 22 to attack damage, plus 40% to attack speed. Plus 300 to max
I wish I had
health, plus
Kagebunshin.
20%
That would be awesome.
You gain 5% movement speed. You gain Spellblade. Using an ability causes the next attack used within 10 seconds to deal bonus physical damage, equal to 200% of the base. You also gain Rage. attacks grant 20 move speed and kills grant 60 move speed for 2 seconds. This is the most expensive item in the game.
I'll be playing PvP, maybe just a couple of games, because I was lacking on the sleep department because I wasn't in Manila for yesterday. So I will be playing just a couple of PvP games for practice.
Like Camille, like Garen, like Jack.
Oh, hey Kurt, Clemente, thank you for joining. We're premiering my Item Fundamentals Part 1 video on YouTube, and you're one of the first to see this. Afterwards, it'll be uploaded like a normal video, but this is basically the premiere. Like, you're gonna be the first to see it. So thank you for being here.
You gain 45 to attack damage, you gain 35 to magic resistance, you gain 10% to cooldown reduction. Its passive is lifeline, magic damage that puts you under 35%.
1.81k subs. Thank you so much. I can't wait to get to the 5k mark, but let's cross the 2k mark first.
Triggering lifeline grants 30 to attack damage, 10% physical vamp, and 10% magical damage. Lifesteal again until exiting the combat. Maw of Malmortius is a situational item you can build when you're encountering a lot of AP champions, for instance, compared to AD champions. This is
Almost
a very
2k.
good counter
Almost
to
2k.
heavy AP reliant champion, as you get shielded every time you reach that 35% of the threshold because of the passive, and it can actually be very rare again to see those setups. So it can also be a rare situation for you to build into this. But whenever you see a heavy magic damage type of lineup or a heavy AP lineup, this is you have full reason to get this as one of your core items. Let's talk about that stance. Plus 300 to max health gives you plus 35 to attack damage, plus 10% to cooldown reduction. Gives you dance, which is a 10% physical vamp, and cauterize, meaning 30% of damage taken is inside the
Cortex should be. I would probably gold that in maybe
that stance is a very unique
December, mid to end, or maybe even early next year. I'm working on it, but I really wanna
talking about champions like Camille.
not just include everybody in the community or just enlarge it, but I really wanna have a goal objective in mind when I create a Discord. I do have a model in mind already, but it's still in the works. I'm still editing what's the Discord going to be used for. So it'll come. It'll come on sometime December, early January.
If you want to get a little scrappy and you have that stance, that'll give you the edge. And then we have what we call as the Phantom Dancer. You gain plus 25% to critical rate. You gain 35% to attack speed. You gain what you call a Spectral Watch.
Maybe when Cyberpunk comes out, that should give me a window to really shell it out. It's actually created. I'm just not publicly showing it yet. So I'm just putting in some frequently asked questions, or just so that when I release it officially, it'll be as crystal when you see it.
It's good for Jinx as ADCs, maybe as a 4th or a 5th core item to build into. Can also be a reasonable pick for Vayne if you want to balance out her Bork capabilities or Blade of the Rune King capabilities. This is a very good item for Graves, maybe a 3rd or a 4th item, and Master Yi as junglers. But overall, it's one of the best attack speed bonuses that the game or that an item can give you. Last up for our physical items, but certainly not the least, is the Umbral Glaive. You gain plus 50 to attack damage, you gain plus 10% to cooldown reduction, you gain Sabotage, which is plus 10 to armor penetration, and Blackout. Being spotted by an enemy ward reveals traps and disables wards around you for 8 seconds. Now, attacks instantly destroy both objects.
Hey, Chrono.
Having said
I
this,
just
because
replied to you on the
passive
chat. I'm using my phone to chat on the Premiere. Welcome.
It can actually be extremely useful during the late games or the end game where warding gives a great advantage in setting up team fights. Remember, in League of Legends, Wild Rift, vision is always the key. So there is good reason, and there is good reason for you to replace one of your core items with this one during endgame, especially when you're 5v5ing in the higher elos and rank. But again, if you're also good at using the control ward by then, on how to ward properly, you can actually do fine without this one. But this is an extra bonus to actually cancel out the vision of the enemy. So very situational, very useful. Now let's go on to defense items. Items that majorly increase your armor and or magic resistance. Now the beauty of defense items is that you can actually equip it to any of the roles. A jungler, a Baron laner, an ADC, and of course supports. And we'll take a look at each and every top tier item, starting off with my favorite, which is Guardian Angel. Plus 45 to attack damage, plus 40 to armor, gives you Resurrect, which is upon taking lethal damage, restores 50% base health and 30% mana.
Definitely my favorite item.
Stasis. Guardian Angel is one of the best items, if only for the passive. Basically, it gives you a second chance in life. Basically, it gives you a second try. This is a great last item to build into no matter what role you are. And the value you get out of this one shines during the end game or the late game, especially during team fights. It's not ideally good to build this earlier, mainly because most of the early game skirmishes in the laning phase are chase skirmishes. And if you get caught in a chase skirmish, most often than not, you won't have backup, number one. Number two is that your enemy's just going to camp around where you died and they're just going to do it again and kill you again. So ADCs, take this as your last item. Baron laners, take this as your last item. Junglers, take this as your last item. The value you get out of this one is really great. Now let's talk about Sunfire Cape. It gives you plus 400 to max health. It gives you plus 40 to armor. It gives you Immolate, which deals 25 to 40 magic damage per second to nearby enemies. It also deals 50% bonus damage to minions and monsters. Sunfire Cape for me is a very weird item because number one, it greatly increases your wave clear potential. Okay, that's great. Number two, it also does a great damage over time to nearby enemy champions, especially during team fights, which doesn't actually gel with number one. This can be situationally useful for a jungler, but also needs your champion identity to be a sort of like a tanky initiator jungler to get really good value from this item. And the only champions that come up to mind are both Malphite and Amumu. But this is actually
Oh,
for me
thanks, Ken. Thanks, Cortex, for dropping by. I appreciate it. Yeah, go ahead. I'll see you hopefully on Monday. But thank you for dropping by the premiere.
If you have an enemy lineup that tends to clump up together, to stick together during a team clash, equipping this would be a good option to wreak havoc on those who love to clump together. Maybe a decent pick again for Malphite and Amumu, if for that reason alone. Up next, we have Spirit Visage. Gives you plus 350 to maximum health, plus 100% to health regeneration, plus 45 to magic resistance, and plus 10% cooldown reduction. It also gives you Blessed, increases all healing, regen, and drain effects on yourself by 30%, which is basically an anti-grievous wounds. Spirit Visage is a great overall defense item, as you can see from the value that it gives out. The passive on improved heals is really good. Plus, it gets extreme value when you have a heal support as well. Good for maybe a 5th core item to build into when you're a Camille, when you're a Nasus, and when you're a Fiora, for instance. But this item is also good, believe it or not, for junglers like Lee Sin and Olaf. Next, we have Randuin's Omen. Plus 400 to maximum health, plus 50 to armor. It reduces damage from critical strikes by 15%. It also gives you Cold Steel, reduced to attack speed of enemies by 15% for 1.5 seconds when struck by an attack. Randuin's Omen is your ADC defense item. This is great as maybe a fifth item to build for tanks like Blitzcrank, like Alistair, like Braum. Um, it's also viable items for junglers like Amumu and Jarvan the Fort to get that armor in and to also annoy the enemy ADC, especially when they hit you because they will crit for less. Next up, we have the infamous Thornmail, plus 200 to max health, plus 75 to armor. It gives you thorns. Being hit by an attack reflects 25 magic damage plus 10% bonus and inflicts them with grievous wounds for 1 second. If Randuin's Omen was your ADC defense item, Thornmail is your anti-ADC item. This is a general
Oh, JB,
pick
I,
if
I, I,
there's
th- I
two
think
ADC
you'll be able to reach plat. You know,
compositions.
just
Aim, say, a Baron laner
we can
ADC
discuss
like
later.
Vayne,
From
then
a
another
gold
Dragon
perspective
Lane ADC
of
like Jinx or
maybe
Fortune
you
or whatnot.
need to work on
Um,
your champion pool.
Thornmail is
Maybe you
very
need to
good for
deepen it.
Nasus.
Maybe
It could also be good for Singed.
the
Can
losing
also
games you
be
have
good for
is
Malphite
maybe
or
because
even
you
Alistair.
were not able to
Thornmail
pick
is
a
also
flex
viable
pick.
for
So
junglers
there's
like
there can be a lot of
Xin Zhao
reasons.
and,
So
Vi for that
but
needed
you know,
counter jungle
I have
protection. But again, if
I have
you're
utmost
facing
faith that
multiple
you'll be able to reach
ADCs
flat
with
plat
two ADC
for
lineup,
sure. You're not gonna be hard
punish
stock
them
in gold.
with Thornmail. Let's talk about Frozen Mallet. Frozen Mallet gives you 550 to maximum health. It gives you plus 25 attack damage, and it gives you Icy. Attack slow enemies by 40% for 1.5 seconds. Slow amount half for range attack, so this is more for melee. You get more value out of this for melee champions. Frozen Mallet is a melee chaser's dream. Dream item. Frozen Mallet can be very situational, as you'll find better crowd control effects than slow, especially when a 5v5 skirmish comes in. It can be good for hitting the enemy backline for an ambush from an ambush position if you're able to do that. To also prevent the backline from juking out or from running away from the fight or running away from you. So again, a very situational item, but if we can find a way to hit the backline with this Frozen Mallet, and that would definitely help with the team fight. The next defense item in line is Warmog's Armor. It gives you plus 650 to maximum health, plus 200% health regeneration, and plus 10% cooldown reduction. The passive is Warmog's Heart. If you have at least 2,500 maximum health, you restore 5% health per second if you haven't taken damage within the last 6 seconds. For the tank, Warmog's Armor is your ultimate endgame item, your last item to build into. You regain HP along the way, which will keep you engaged throughout the map a little longer instead of recalling back to base. The reason why I think you should hold this for last, as a last item to buy, is because
Yeah,
you won't be utilizing this regeneration
I'll discuss with you
ability
after the premiere,
in
but
between team skirmishes.
that's definitely one of
So
the
very
things
crucial
or
fight
issues,
for
especially
lives.
when you're
You'll
a
also
tank
be needing
support.
a lot of HP item
Chances
buffs,
are you'll be paired up
for you
with
to
an
utilize
ADC
the
that's
Warmog's
just
Armor.
not at
That's
your
why you
level,
build the
or
heavy
not the way
HP
you
items
expect
first, and then
to play.
you just
So
finalize it
that's
with
where
Warmog's Armor so that you can
deepening the champion pool actually would bring value to you. But you know,
Up next on the
it's gonna be
defense
a
item
long
list, we
discussion, but
have
um,
Sterak's Gauge. You gain plus 400
I get
max health,
I get
you
it.
also gain
I get
added
when you
plus
don't
50%
get paired with
attack
an
damage,
optimal ADC.
which
It
only applies
just
to
sucks.
non-champion support.
Coming from a
You also
support
gain
main,
lifeline damage, it puts you
yeah,
under
it sucks.
35% health, grants a shield equal to 75% bonus health that decays over 3 seconds. Another passive this gives out is Sterak's Fury. Triggering lifeline increases size and grants 30% tenacity for 80 seconds. Now, just a little bit of review. What is tenacity again? Tenacity is a status or a buff that actually reduces the effectivity of crowd control effects on you. So if you have tenacity, any of the slow or any of the CC spells would have a decreased chance of affecting you. Sterak's Gauge. Overall, great passives from this item. That's why this is a usual third item build, can be fourth item build, or it can also even be fifth item build depending on your priority. So this is basically a good third to fifth item build if you're a Baron laner like Nasus, like Fiora, like Garen, like Camille, like Jax. These Baron lane champions would find great value building Sterak's Gauge, not just for the lifeline passive per se and the decreased crowd control effectivity because of tenacity, but also for the passive that actually increases your base attack damage by 50%, the heavy-handed. And as far as defensive item goes, this can be a pretty offensive item for these Baron laners, for these melee champions, because the good thing, or the thing that you need to remember when building a Baron laner is not only you have to be tanky. You don't focus on being a tank because that's what a support tank does. What you need to focus on is a hybrid build that can give you a little bit of tankiness, but also can give you a ton of damage in the long run, so that you'll be able to carry games. So it's more of like a fighter hybrid type or a bruiser type of archetype here in the Baron lane. And Sterak's Gauge is one of the better items for you to get as a Baron laner. Next up, we have Iceborne Gauntlet. Plus 50 to armor, plus 450 to maximum mana, plus 20% cooldown reduction. It gives you Spellblade. Using an ability costs the next attack use within 10 seconds to deal bonus physical damage equal to 100% of your base in an area. And it also creates an icy field for 2 seconds that slows enemies inside by 30%. Armor increases the size.
Oh, good that you have a large champion pool for support. That's very commendable. You have Blitz, you have Braum, you have Seraphine, Jaina, Lux. Very good on you. Maybe if you get a little bit tired on support, maybe you could just try some. I'm not sure about your play style. I've seen your play support, and you've been wrecking
So there's actually good value into it.
people with your support playstyle. I don't know. They call it the Umai factor when you're tired of maybe being a support or just wanted something fresh. Could be a good reason for you to get a secondary role that you want to develop. For instance, I never liked junglers. Just because I find that their pathing is a little bit complicated and it's a little bit unpredictable. And then it changed my mind over the past few weeks when I played Master Yi, when I was learning about jungle pathing, learning how much impact I can create for my lanes. It's just, I never would have thought of me playing a jungle, and then I just tried it, and then it just stuck together, I guess. I don't like every jungler, but just like Xin Shao, Master Yi is just, the kit is fine for my playstyle. So having said that, maybe there is a playstyle that you haven't discovered yet with some other role. I don't know, Baron laner or a mid, or I don't know. But ADC is a little bit oversaturated because it's a little bit easier to be an ADC compared to PC. I do love the impact the ADC makes, a really good ADC makes. So it's just a little bit oversaturated in the market. If you know, especially if you're the last pick, you're definitely not gonna get an ADC because it's gonna be the first 2-3 picks.
But this could actually be a good pick for Singed, for instance. But other than that, there are far better items that I think would bring out value for a lot of the other champions. So again, this could be a great pick for Singed in the right situation. Now we go on to Adaptive Helm. Gives you 300 to maximum health, plus 100% health regeneration, plus 60 to magic resistance. It also gives you adaptive, taking magic damage, reduces all subsequent magic damage from that same ability or effect by 15% for 4 seconds. Adaptive Helm is a great counter to an AP-based enemy team, ability power enemy team. When there's too many mages or too many harassers on the enemy team lineup that relies heavily on AP, building into this will definitely counter that and help minimize the threat that these magic damage dealers make, these mages make. Um, Adaptive Helm is very useful for team fights against this kind of lineup, as the cooldowns of the ability of these mages tend to get a little bit faster during max level at 15, and they tend to over harass you, over poke you by just repeating and spamming their abilities, and getting hit second time or a third time with the same ability negates 15% of the damage that they can dish out to you when you don't have Adaptive Helm, compared to when you don't have Adaptive Helm. So for me, it can be a really great last core item to build into if you're mage support, like a Janna, like a Nami, like a Soraka, and even a Sona. And again, if you're encountering a heavy AP or heavy mage,
The reason why
composition,
that's supposed to be the way as a last item for supports is during the last team fights and game fights, supports usually are the targets first, so that the team fight would just heavily favor the one side who doesn't have any support left, and getting poked is just very common end game for supports. Thank you, JB. I appreciate that. Really, I really appreciate that.
Now, whereas Adaptive Helm is great for enemy team lineups with heavy mages, heavy mage lineup. Abyssal Mask is good if your team has a lot of AP dealing champions, AP-based healing champions, or mages in general, magic damage champions. It's opposite to the Adaptive Helm. This item increases the magic-based damage of your allies. So you can build this if you'd like to initiate team fights and rely on your heavy AP or mage allies to decimate the enemy team. You also gain a bit of HP with Abyssal Mask as soon as you cast your abilities, so this can be beneficial for longer trades. And maybe if your champion has a shorter cooldown, you can potentially abuse and spam the passive that you get out of Abyssal Mask. Having said that, this can be very situational again, a very situational item depending on your team lineup. Now let's talk about Zeke's Convergence. Plus 40 to armor, plus 40 to magic resistance, plus 150 to maximum mana, plus 10% cooldown reduction. Gives you Harbinger. Casting your ultimate surrounds you with a blizzard and ignites a nearby ally's attacks for 10 seconds. Your blizzard slows enemies by 20% and your allies' attacks burn for 30% bonus magic damage over 2 seconds. Now it prioritizes the highest attack damage ally. It also gives you Frostfire cover. Your blizzard ignites if it slows a burning enemy, dealing 40 magic damage per second and slowing by 40% for 3 seconds. Now, Zeke's Convergence is your ultimate defense item built especially for support tanks, and I'm talking about the big three. I'm talking about Braum, Alistair, and Blitzcrank. It has a good armor and magic resist bonus, and the passives really gel well for these tanky champions. You usually build this as your third
Yep,
core item for these three
that's
champions that I've mentioned.
that Abyssal Mask is when you have a heavy mage lineup,
Also very viable
hands down,
as a
get
first
that.
core item to build versus Winter's Approach, which is an item I'll be
Especially if
talking
you're a
about
support
later.
and you just
Alrighty, let's talk
just
about
like
Protector's
3-4 mages in your
Plus
lineup.
350 to maximum health, plus 40 to armor, plus 10% cooldown reduction. It gives you Protector. It raises your guard when next to an allied champion. Now, if you or
This is
your
one of my
opponent
new
takes
favorites.
damage from an enemy champion, a
They don't have this in
monster,
League of Legends PC, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't seen Protector's Vow. Maybe there was an iteration before.
plus 15%
But
ability power.
This Protector's Vow in Wild Rift is one of my favorites for a defense item.
Protector's Vow is
Gives
a
you
great
and
first
your
item to
ally
build
appeal.
if you're a mage support, like Sona, like Nami, like Soraka, mainly to increase your armor a little more and to also give you that much needed health buff early on. As compared to tanky champions, you're definitely not as tanky as Blitzcrank, Alistair, or Braum. Other than that, this is a great third core item for other support champions that have a little bit more durability, but are not as tanky as the big three that I've mentioned earlier in Zeke's Convergence. The passive of Protector's Vow, which is Protector, also really works well in the Dragon lane. It protects you and your ADC from early mistakes that you or your ADC might be doing, or some mispositioning or miscommunication. So it gives you a little bit of a lifeline. It gives you a lifeline for engages that you have failed to convert, and it gives you also a little bit of lifeline for those aggressive engages by the enemy lane matchups. If the ADC and support of the enemy team are too aggressive on your end, so it gives you a little bit of lifeline on that too defensively. Last one for the defense items is Winter's
Your ulti has Braum. Yeah, I
Gain
can
plus
spam
40
quick.
to
Yes,
armor, gain
definitely.
Plus 450 to maximum mana, plus 10% cooldown reduction, gives you awe, grants armor equal to
I usually get Winter's
100%
Approach.
mana,
First item for
25%
Blitzcrank.
all mana spent.
I find it
Try
very
this
effective.
eventually, and it'll become and transform into what we call as the Fimbulwinter. Now, Fimbulwinter gives you plus 40 to armor, gives you 1,150 to your maximum mana. It also gives you 10% cooldown reduction, and more importantly, it gives you Frozen Colossus. Immobilizing an enemy champion consumes mana and grants a shield for 3 seconds, absorbing 150 damage plus 5% current for every nearby enemy champion. So Winter's Approach is definitely a good first item build for the big three that I talked about, the tanky support champs, Braum, Alistair, Blitzcrank. It beefs up your mana too, so that you can abuse your abilities a little longer
Yep.
and stay
Happy to
in the
help.
lane a little
Try
longer
this first
before
as
you
for the
can
Braum, and then
attack. Can be great for a support tank.
That's the
on
reason.
Dragon lane, as the tempo can usually extend a little longer, especially if your ADC tends to overstay too much and has not really mastered his or her timing with the lane mechanics. But definitely a good first item for these tanky champions. So there you have it. That was a complete rundown on physical and defense items in Wild Rift. If you noticed, item sets really augment your champion, and therefore when planning things out, you have to keep in mind of your champion's identity at the forefront. So that's the first thing you actually need to think about. Not all ADCs, for instance, would benefit from the same item sets. Of course, there's also an element of adapting that you need to put in mind, as some items may bring you more value.
I do
when
lack
the right
a little bit of sleep,
situation arises.
so
absorb
I'm
this
not gonna be
guide
playing
as
rank
best
for
as
sure.
you
I need
can.
the
Feel
rest.
free to come back
I'll
to it
I'll
when
try to
you
grind
also
to
appears
gold,
trade items,
mid gold
or if you encounter
through the
some
weekend.
sets
Hopefully
that
I
you
get
need to
mid
some of your
gold or maybe
matches.
just gold 3.
Don't
Hopefully.
always rely on recommended item sets, and always ask yourself if the planned items that you're building into make sense within the match. Are you the right champion? Do you have the right lane matchup? How is your team composition versus that of the enemy team composition? These are the questions that you can eventually ask yourself and can actually make for good planning and help you out, which can actually give you an advantage to get ahead of the enemy team with the right item compositions. Now I'm looking forward in seeing you all in part 2 of this item fundamentals video, and as we round up the remaining item sets, from the magic items to the boots and enchantments, and how they all tie together to give you the perfect core sets for your specific champion. If you found this little guide useful, I would really appreciate a like, a subscribe, and a hit on the notification bell, so that you'll also get updated when the next video in my fundamental series is out. I do have a lot of passion in making these videos and sharing my gaming knowledge and educating this growing and this wonderful community in League of Legends Wild Rift, and just in gaming in general. So thank you so much for all the support, and until we meet again, this has been Skylancer. I will see you all at the Rift. Skylancer out.
That should be good. There, I'm back. I'm back on the right. Should be good. Should be good. Let me try to go at it from a face perspective. Here we go.